In this video, I wanted to take the opportunity to shill for my favorite race in the game, the Grey Dwarves, or the Duergar. Now I'm going to try to convince you to give them a try in the game, but this is by no means my attempt to be a dictator. This is ultimately a game where you choose what you want to play. It's your game, you bought it, and you can play whichever race in whatever way you want. Even though there haven't been recent reveals as to the types of classes and races in particular that people play, during the first two patches information was released, and overwhelmingly people prefer to play humans and elves. Now, again, each individual person can play as each individual person wishes, but personally, in my own opinion, I am unfortunately a mere human being, and therefore I tend to eschew playing human beings in games. Yes, sometimes it's very tempting because of the bonuses they get, particularly in the Pathfinder series, where humans get an extra feat at level 1, which is incredibly potent, and there I might make an exception, but generally speaking, broadly speaking, I avoid humans. Even though I know that many people play humans because it's relatable. But as I tend to play games, I tend to avoid the relatable and try to go for the least relatable, the things that are sufficiently different from my own existence as a human being on planet Earth. After humans, of course, many people play elves. And Drow have been very popular, understandably so. They probably have the most dialogue of any race in the game, and they have a certain chicness and je ne sais quoi to them that many races lack. There's a dangerousness to the Drow, and an elegance that arguably even normal elves don't have. Half-elves, in fact, are the most popular race in Baldur's Gate 3, and that's understandable as it combines some of the exotic qualities of the elves and the pragmatic relatability of human beings. But in this video, we're not going to be talking too much about those races. I want to try to make the case for the Duergar to you. Now, I understand in general that dwarves are not the most elegant looking of races out there. That's rather obvious. They're short, stocky, and tend to look somewhat less attractive, at least in a conventional manner, and that's all fair, and perhaps one of the reasons why I would avoid playing a normal dwarf, that is, either a shield or gold dwarf. But Duergar are in a category of their own. Note that by my calculations, which may be a little off, after the Drow, Duergar might possibly have the most special racial dialogue options in the game. Most of these options are in Act 1, Act 2 has fewer of them, and Act 3, as far as I can tell, has no unique dialogue for Duergar, but it's still something. In particular, when you are near the Grimforge and interacting with the various dwarves there, it's a very special interaction indeed when you yourself are a Grey Dwarf. Story-wise, the Duergar are probably the race, after the Githyanki, of course, that have the closest relationship, if you wish to call it such, with the Illithids. Now, I've already made a video about the history of the Grey Dwarves, and I will link it in the description box, but the short version of this is that Duergar or Grey Dwarves are originally descended from shield dwarves that were captured and enslaved by mind flayers, who then in subsequent centuries experimented upon them, which is in part why they look so strange and why they have the strange and unusual abilities that they possess. So of all the races that are not going to get along with the mind flayers the most, after the Githyanki, Duergar make an excellent candidate race. And so just for the story, there's a reason to play the Duergar. But this is only the beginning, as Duergar offers some pretty unique abilities, one of them being possibly the most powerful ability any race gets in the game. We'll get to that in a bit, but it goes without saying, Duergar being dwarves, they get basic things like poison resistance, which manifests itself as advantage on saving throws against poison, which sometimes can be useful. It's not amazingly useful, but specifically, Duergar gets superior dark vision, which means dark vision out to 24 meters, which only 2 other races in the game get automatically. That's a big positive. Then they get Duergar Resilience, which gives Grey Dwarves advantage on saving throws against illusions, as well as being charmed or paralyzed. Specifically, the resistance towards paralyzation can come in really handy sometime. Now, like many races, as they level up, respectively at level 3 and 5, Duergar get racial abilities. These abilities, in all likelihood, are a legacy effect of the experiments and mutations that occurred during their period of slavery and captivity under the Illithids. So at level 3, the Duergar can cast Enlarge once per long rest in this last 10 turns. This will make it impossible for you to be pushed. It will give you advantage on certain types of saving throws, and on top of that, whether it is ranged or melee, it will increase your damage by 1d4, so it's a pretty useful ability. But the true powerhouse ability of the Duergar, and possibly the most useful ability of any race in the game, is their unlimited invisibility. Yes, you did hear me right. You probably were neglecting the Grey Dwarves so much that you had no idea that they get unlimited invisibility at level 5, but they do. So at level 5, they gain the invisibility spell, as per the 2nd level wizard spell. And outside of combat, it has unlimited uses and lasts forever, as long as you're concentrating. Within combat, it can effectively be used twice. Once to initiate combat, often to surprise enemies, it's very effective for that. And then after you surprise them and combat begins, you can turn invisible again. But I will argue that as cool as that is, and it is very useful to position yourself, the unlimited factor in Duergar invisibility outside of combat is really the selling point. When it comes to pickpocketing, stealing things, scouting, whatever it might be, being able to be invisible is really useful. Being able to turn it on and off at will is just fantastic. Sure, you can have somebody cast invisibility on you, or you could cast it yourself if you're a caster, if you're not Duergar, but we are talking about an unlimited invisibility spell that you can cast on yourself a limitless amount of times, that is not affected by the amount of times that you rest, and is not affected by anything else. It's there to be used as much as you want. And because of that, in combat, after you've used your 2 invisibilities, it will refresh because, again, this is unlimited invisibility. And ultimately, this probably is the major selling point of the Duergar. No other race gets unlimited invisibility, only they do, and this makes the Duergar powerhouses, as well as a clear S-tier race. Now, you might quibble about their aesthetics and appearance, you might quibble about them being short and slow, but they really bring a lot to the table. And they are very, very versatile, because like I said, unlimited invisibility is useful for just about any class, but in particular, for ranged characters and strikers, very, very useful. Think rangers and assassins, but they're equally good as monks and even as spellcasters, because again, unlimited invisibility is just universally good. You cannot have enough of it. Now, to summarize why you should play the Duergar, I will again highlight my points. They are very story relevant. There's an entire area of the Underdark called the Grim Forge, which has a lot of Duergar in it, a lot of interesting interactions, and they also have a lot of race-specific dialogue. And beyond this, more broadly, next to the Githyanki, they have the closest connection, if you wish to call it such, to the Illithids, because they were enslaved for many centuries under their yoke. They broke free, and so that adds an incentive and a sense of connection to the story that is sometimes lacking with the other races. Finally, in terms of their abilities, in addition to poison resilience, paralyzation resilience, enlarging themselves, as well as superior dark vision, Duergar get unlimited invisibility. Yes, I cannot stress this enough. Unlimited invisibility. No other race in the game gets this. So, if you're open-minded enough, if you're tired of playing boring old humans such as yourself, or boring half-elves or elves, then you should really consider giving the Duergar a chance. It's a lot of fun. They're a great race. They're not very popular, but by the gods, they really should be. Thanks for watching, but before I go, I'd like to invite you to my Discord, where you can discuss Baldur's Gate 3, among other RPGs with like-minded people, and thank you for tuning in. And if you like my content, you can leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe, and you can hit the bell icon to be notified of my videos. It'd be much appreciated, as it really helps out the channel, and I'll check you out next time. Take care.